Hello and welcome to Math 151, Business Calculus. My name is Matt Lathrop. I'll be your instructor this semester. Before we get started working on assignments, I just want to give you a brief orientation to the course, show you where some important information is, talk to you a little bit about some of the expectations that are outlined in the syllabus, and just give you a little bit of a head start for the course. So what we're looking at now is the announcements page. This would have been the first page you see anytime you log into our course. You'll see any announcements, which there's already one welcome announcement posted. I would encourage you to take a look at that information. And you'll also always see an overall score box. So right now that's going to be at 0% for everyone until you start completing assignments. But as you progress throughout the course, this is always going to give you an up-to-date snapshot of where you stand in the course. So what your overall percentage is based off completed assignments. You'll also get kind of a bar down here showing the breakdown for different types of assignments, so how you're doing for homeworks compared to quizzes and things like that. On the Start Here page, which is where you found this video, you're going to see the orientation video that you're watching through right now, a video on how to navigate the course, a video on how to check your progress and get help throughout the semester, and a link to the campus safety video. So you'll want to make sure you check those out. But what I want to do is, for now, go ahead and take a look at the course syllabus, talk a little bit about our expectations for this semester. So on the course syllabus, you've got my contact information here. Office hours are provided. My phone number is provided, but I would encourage you to use email as probably the primary means of communication. Unless you're actually going to stop in to see me, email is probably just the best way to get a hold of me and get a relatively quick response. I do my best to reply to emails within 24 hours, usually quicker, but do just keep in mind that over the weekend it's probably going to take me a little bit longer to get back to you. I'm going to leave the catalog description for you to take a look at and instead focus on this required materials section. So there are only two things that are required for this course. First is an access code to MyLabs Plus. You'll be prompted to enter that code or purchase that code whenever you open up your first homework assignment. So you can purchase that code online through the MyLabs Plus website, which is typically a little bit cheaper, or you can purchase it through the bookstore. You'll also need a graphing calculator for the course. Either a TI-83 or 84 calculator is going to be required. The other thing that we'll be making use of is a website called wolframalpha.com. It's freely accessible, so as long as you have an internet connection, which you're going to need for everything in this course, you're going to have access to that and be able to make use of it. I do have the textbook information listed here if you want to buy a physical copy of the textbook. However, your access code for MLP includes an electronic text, so you only need to buy a physical textbook if you would prefer to have that to read and look through. So we'll skip through some of the learning outcomes, but I would encourage you to come back and take a look at this information. Use of technology. As an online course, obviously technology is going to be a critical component of this course, where we're going to be using some online tools for homework, testing, as well as that Wolfram Alpha site that I mentioned. A few things for you to be aware of is that lack of access to or malfunctioning technology may not be an acceptable excuse for late submissions. So you should be aware that you're in an online course. You need to make sure you have access to a reliable internet connection and also have a backup plan in mind. So if your home computer stops working, if your home internet connection stops working, you need to have identified in advance some ways to get around that. So one would be coming in to use the computer lab in Heartland's library, going to a friend's house, going to a public library, somewhere where you can get access to the internet and get assignments completed by the due date. For attendance and participation, we're not going to be meeting face-to-face, but there will be periodic discussions throughout the semester where you'll be asked to reply to a prompt or multiple prompts. Some of those will be interactive where you have to reply to classmates, others will just be individual posts. Failing to participate in those module discussions will be one of the ways that you would be withdrawn from this course at midterm. Hopefully this isn't anything we have to worry about, but if you failed to access the course for 2 weeks without appropriate notice, failed to fully participate in more than 2 module discussions, or did not meaningfully attempt at least 70% of the assignments due by midterm, you could be withdrawn from this course at midterm. So as long as you're participating, logging in, completing assignments each week, that's not going to be anything you have to worry about. We'll have homework assignments every week, which will be completed through MyLabs Plus. Every week we'll be completing a new module which will have between 2 and 3 homework assignments. You get an unlimited number of attempts at those problems up until the due date, and then after the due date you can still complete assignments, but you'll receive a 10% point deduction. So after the due date, the maximum score you could receive would be a 90%. Quizzes will also happen each week. We'll have 2 quizzes each week, one covering the theory that we'll be introducing, and then another quiz covering the applications of business calculus. So every week you'll be completing homework assignments and then 2 quizzes. Initially you only receive 1 attempt at a quiz. However, if you earn a 95% or better on the quizzes, on the homework assignments for that module, you'll unlock a second attempt. So I said we'll be doing homework and quizzes every week. That's not exactly true. On some weeks we'll be completing exams, which will be split up into 2 parts. There will be a proctored portion, which has to be taken in one of Heartland's testing centers. This will be a traditional paper pencil math test covering the theory that we've been learning. But then there will also be a take-home portion, which will focus on the applications of the course. That will be obviously a portion you can complete at home using any of the resources from the course that we've introduced. Some portions of that will have a little bit larger writing component, but we'll see what those look like as we get closer. So keep in mind for exams, 1 proctored portion, 1 take-home portion, both due within the same week. We'll have a cumulative final exam, which will again be a traditional paper pencil math test. That will cover content from modules 1 through 11. It's required that you attempt that test or that exam in order to pass the course, and it makes up 20% of your overall grade in the class. There are also going to be a couple of opportunities to improve a low exam score. The first will be with the final exam. So the final exam makes up 20% of your overall grade, but it can also replace a lower score on one of the proctored tests. So essentially, if you have 1 proctored exam that doesn't go as well as you would have liked, if you can make up for that on the final, your grade will get a boost at the end of the semester. Similarly, if one of those take-home exams doesn't go as well as you would have liked, there's going to be an optional take-home exam towards the end of the semester, which you can complete and use to replace one of your lowest take-home exam score. So right at the end of the class, there's going to be a couple of big opportunities to replace some scores. There's a table here with exam release dates, grade breakdowns, that sort of information. So when each exam releases, you'll typically have about a week to complete that test. Assignments in this class will run from Monday to Monday. So exam 1 will open up on February 6th and then be due the following Monday. There are some important dates to keep in mind, including the last date to drop the course, last day to withdraw from the course. I hope to see all of you through all the way till the end of the semester, but just important to be aware of that information, as well as spring break when the college will be closed and classes won't be meeting. The FERPA statement is just a privacy statement letting you know that in order to communicate with me or for me to communicate back with you, I need to receive emails from your Heartland email account or for emails to be sent through the MyLabs Plus system. That way I can ensure that I'm only communicating with you about your progress. So please don't email me from a personal email address or an email address from a different institution, different school. Make sure you're communicating with me through the MyLabs Plus site or your Heartland email account. And then last thing we've got here is a weekly schedule for the semester. Since this is an online class, we should be able to hold to this pretty well. Weather, things like that really won't get in the way. So what you're going to typically see is a pattern of 3 weeks of introducing material, followed by an exam. Between the first and second exams, that will be a little bit different. We'll actually have 4 weeks of content before we hit exam 2, but still just 3 modules that we're covering. Module 4 is just split up since it's got a little more content in there. So this is going to have our outline for the semester. Again, modules will run from Monday to Monday. So assignments that open up on January 23rd would be due the following Monday, January 30th. Tests will work the same way. When exam 2 opens up on March 20th, both portions will be due by March 27th, and you've got those due dates specifically listed here. So I would encourage you again to take a look through all that information in the syllabus that we went through relatively quickly, as well as some of this information below in the General Information for Students section. In particular, there's information on the library, tutoring services, which I would highly encourage you to make use of if you're struggling or just want a little bit of extra assistance. Also, information on disability support services. If you have a documented disability and there are accommodations that we need to meet to assist you with this course, please just contact me about that ahead of time and we will make sure we get those arrangements made. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a great semester. I will be keeping in touch with you through the announcements page, through individual emails, and I will just encourage you to get in touch with me as often as you need to when you have any questions or concerns. Thanks.